The number one thing that I want to highlight is that it's very important for a prepper, for a survivor, whether you expect conflict to come to your home or you simply want to prepare for any scenario, you have to understand the pros and cons of equipment and what could render those pros and cons a moot talking point. In the context of modern warfare, let's look at how technology is potentially going to bury the debate between an LBV versus a placard and plate carrier. First, in the American military, we've always just called reconnaissance recon if we wanted to shorten it. Recce just happens to be the hot word at the moment. Now that that's out of the way, there's been lots of back and forth over the last few months about chest rigs versus plate carriers with placards. I'm of the personal belief that there are pros and cons to both. I do own both, but I think that the Ukrainian and Russian clash is showing something very important. Maybe, just maybe, in the long run, it's not going to matter at all. Before we get into why that is, let's just hash out a few things here. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Russia invaded Ukraine. With each conflict, there are different roles at play. Logistics is important. On the Russian side, we can see what happens when fuel, food, and ammo is impacted. So what about the gear? What are we seeing in this conflict? Let's get into the pros and cons of the two. When it comes to traditional chest rigs like the Eagle RRV or the TT MAV or even the LBV, pros are that it's lightweight, it breathes easier, and it's more comfortable for the fighter. It allows you to quickly scale up or scale down, it's generally cheaper, and it's been proven in different environments over decades of use. One of the major cons, obviously, it offers no protection ability by itself. And that's where the placard comes in. The plate carrier and placard combo have their pros too. It offers protection, it protects your vitals. It offers a more streamlined silhouette in an urban environment. That's very important when you're going through things like doorways or not trying to get snagged on furniture. The newer plate carriers allow for extra things like belt setups so you can move mags around, you can position them differently. It's very modular today. Now the cons of the plate carrier and placard setup, it's expensive. It can be 6 to 10 times more expensive than a traditional chest rig. Everything that you also attach to your plate carrier stays on for the duration of the mission. You can't downgrade everything you're wearing on your plate carrier quickly. And if you have mission-specific setups, what you have is what you've got. There are different guys on the internet that share the old school view. You gotta get really good with your bushcraft skills, you gotta get good at concealment and cover. 100% I believe you should. You also have to think about the enemy that you're facing. You can have that extended loadout, or you can have that plate carrier setup, but the big game changer is modern tech. Modern tech that can destroy any of your advantages is easily sourced on Amazon. A lot of the guys in Ukraine on both sides have sourced their items from Amazon and other retailers that ship directly to their respective countries. On top of that, that doesn't include going to the local store and picking up what you need. As a matter of fact, south of the border has been showing us for years you don't need the best of the best. Their attacks have been very low tech, yet cause enough fear and confusion to be extremely effective. You don't want to be camping out in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden a little buzzing fly drops a grenade right into the middle of your campfire. Add extremely well made, very specific types of cameras, and your excellent camo and concealment skills are just not necessary. You've already been seen, probably before you see what's looking at you. Numbers and substandard training, even with top-end gear, do not a competent force make. Russia could have overwhelmed Ukraine with their numbers, but the failure in maintaining their logistical chain, combined with a lot of propaganda on the internet and the low morale of conscripts, guaranteed that this would take longer than they had anticipated. So what we end up seeing is whoever strikes first and whoever strikes hardest is usually going to win the engagement. Ammo is being resupplied through vehicles, meaning that guys can stop hauling 10 magazines as long as the supplies keep following directly behind them. Ukraine has the benefit of being resupplied by Western powers on a consistent basis due to the proximity to Western Europe. So we see the Ukrainians prioritizing a basic combat load and medical supplies. Resupplying your troops after an engagement is critical. Since Russia is rolling around with the equivalent of Baofeng radios at this point, all the recent withdrawals could be a way to just save face. As we've seen, all of the competent units are fielding guys who are extremely slick. They have at most 7 total magazines spread across their body, and while they might be in shape because of rucking, their primary mode of getting around the battle space is not exclusively on foot. They're parking their vehicles one street over, hitting them, and then going through one of the side streets to get away. Both sides use the eye in the sky to keep track of any movements, including the dumb ones. Like, take a look at this Russian vehicle having their soldiers fall out and chase after the vehicle. So what does the future hold? What we can definitely see is that training and logistics is what will determine the outcome of a battle. Does that mean that plate carriers is the end-all be-all? Is the LBV obsolete? No. There are different types of hammers for different types of jobs. You're not going to take a framing hammer to an archaeological dig. What's more important now is the ability to quickly enter and leave a battle space. How quickly you can be resupplied, if you can be resupplied at all. So that's it for this talk today. If you have any thoughts, please say them below. Having a good dialogue and addressing each point is generally how we start to cover blind spots. So until the next video, be good, stay safe, and have a good one.